Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nara and here we're discussing all things astrology and spirituality. So this video is about Capricorn, Sun rising or Saturn in the first house. So, okay, before we get into the Capricorn and interpret Capricorn energy, I like to talk about the planet, the ruler planet, which rules the sign of Capricorn. Then I also want to talk about the nature of the Capricorn energy, like the element and also the mode. So we all know that there's 4 elements in astrology. We have fire, we have water, we have air, and we have earth. So Capricorn belongs to earth element. And then we also have different modes in 3 different modes in astrology. So the first one is fixed signs, then we have cardinal signs, and then we have mutable signs. So Capricorn belongs to cardinal signs along with Libra, Aries, Cancer. They're all cardinal signs. So what is cardinal? Cardinal mode of the zodiac sign refers to the manifestation of physical traits, and I would say the approach to life and how fast they approach life, how slow they approach life, what are their tendencies. So cardinal mode is very cardinal, like fast, and it brings big changes pretty much instantaneously. You get changes that are like 180-degree shift in your reality, or you go about your life taking bulls by its horn, like this kind of energy, cardinal. However, Capricorn is also a cardinal sign, right? However, it's the least cardinal out of the other 3, which is Cancer, Libra, and Aries. Why? So when Capricorn does something, like takes action, they're not very fast to take action. Rather, the cardinal mode is more so manifesting in the way they present themselves. For example, being very strategic, being very cold-hearted, not emotional at all, not feeling other people's vibrations at all, and not even reckoning with their interests much, giving people cold shoulder, just being very, very stubborn in their own thinking, and they know what they want. They can be overly confident. So that's that aspect of Capricorns embodies the cardinal mode. Does that make sense? So they don't approach life necessarily as like Aries, Libra, or Cancer, like, because they can change literally their ideas easily, their moods. They can take action fast, right here and now, and something that differs completely from what they had like literally 5 minutes ago. But when it comes to Capricorn, the cardinal mode only manifests in the way they express themselves to the environment. It's not necessarily the energy that they have when they try to take action, for instance. So I wanted to talk about that. So let's go back to earth signs, the earth element. So we have 4 elements, and earth element is the most materialistic and the most tangible out of all 4 elements. So let's start with water. So water element includes Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And all these 3 signs are, the water energy manifests internally within more so than on the outside. It's your psychology, it's your feeling state, it's the feelings you have, the thoughts you have, but you don't necessarily, not thoughts, I would say the feelings, the emotions, because we feel different emotions throughout the day, right? And that is the water element energy. So that's that. But then there's fire. So fire element includes Leo, Sag, and Aries. So these fire signs are basically, that fire element gives them fiery energy when they express themselves. So they come off actually very, very confident, and they're good at expressing themselves. So this is fire energy, how it manifests in people, right? And then we have earth. Earth is element is, okay, we've expressed ourselves, but what did we actually get from that expression? Okay, we took action from the fire element, right? Okay, and now it's earth. What do we have on a tangible scale? Like, did we create something material that we can look at, touch, feel, see and stuff? Or is it just, did not work out? It's basically the material manifestation of the feeling states you had, the self-expression, which brought you a certain tangible result on the external world. So this is earth element, okay? So they usually just go and get it done. They're not the people who are just thinking, like feeling, being in their like emotions, like water signs. They don't like that. They like to create something. Even if they have emotions, I feel earth signs are more prone to create something from those emotions rather than just being stuck inside, with your internal feelings. And then we have the air element. So the difference between air and all others is that air element is the communication and mental energy, right? And basically the communication takes place after we've expressed ourselves through water, fire, and earth. And now we're talking about what we actually created. So we're discussing and criticizing, or, saying, oh, we did a good thing, or we should have put more effort, or something like that. So like you're taking a communication with people and discussing your manifestation on a tangible level, which, earth energy. So just wanted to talk about that. However, let's talk about Capricorn. So Capricorn is a cardinal sign. They're very, very strict. These people are strict. Why? Because they are ruled by Saturn. Okay, their main ruler planet is Saturn. And Saturn energy is restriction. Saturn energy is restrictions, routines, discipline. It's practicality, objective perception of the world. Not too overly objective, which can be taken into depression, which is very, very likely for Capricorns, and because of Saturn energy. But just overall, Saturn is a butt kicker. That's how I like to put it, because Saturn gives you obstacles in life so that you overcome them. And how do you overcome them? By embodying characteristics of, what Saturn demands from you, which is self-discipline, which is accountability, which is being clear and strict sometimes with yourself. And, depending on where your Saturn is placed, in what house, we can determine in what area you're going to have those energies, right? So Saturn, let me give you an example of Saturn. For instance, let's say you want to become a licensed psychologist, for instance. For you to become one, you firstly need to go to school, get schooling, right? Get a degree, get a certificate. And then you need to go to, higher education, which is master's, because psychologists, actually, it's very, very preferable for them to get higher ed degrees as well, because that's what increases the, pay rate. Your license gets, more qualified for a lot of different issues rather than a limited amount. When it comes to therapy. So, but in order for you to go and become that successful psychologist who can, set up the pay rate based on their degrees, and very high pay rate, and actually be successful in that, they will have to be firstly disciplined in order to get those degrees, right? And you'll have to be disciplined for years in order to get there. But if you're not disciplined, then Saturn takes all the benefits away and doesn't give you anything. So this is how you should look at Saturn energy. It's something that you want to achieve, but you have to work for it first in order to get it. And usually it involves your self-discipline, right? So that's that for the Saturn. But then I do want to talk about just the, you know, more Capricorn stuff. So Capricorns are very strict with themselves because of that Saturn energy. They can be very hard on themselves as well. So that Saturn energy of self-discipline sometimes can be taken too far, where they just like I said, right? If you're like overly objective and such a realist in life, it can make you depressed as well, because the colors of your particular world you live in gets darker and darker, and you don't see a light in the end of the tunnel. So for you, everything becomes pessimistic. Energy can be also, you know, how can I put it? It's the area of your life that you feel the most uncomfortability with. It's the area of your life where, you know, like depending on where your Saturn is placed, it's the area of your life where you know you gotta change something, but you can't because you get stuck in your own ways. It's the area of your life that you struggle with the most. It's the area of your life that puts restrictions and obstacles on your way. And, you know, it's that aspect of you which you can't still conquer. Is the area of your life that requires a lot of discipline and with which you struggle. So as a result, you know, of the failures of meeting the demands of Saturn, people get depressed in those areas of life. And not only that, they can be just get depressed overall as well, because that energy makes them feel like they're not good enough. They don't have what it takes to achieve what they want. They are not competent enough. They are not educated enough. Like, they're just not enough in general, you know, because, you know, Saturn puts so many obstacles, and eventually a person gets exhausted and just gives it up. But the more you give it up, the more problematic that area is going to become, because Saturn is actually karmic planet. So looking at what area in your life your Saturn is placed, and analyzing whether this is how it manifests or not, and trying to incorporate changes in, you know, because you will see your habits, your habitual patterns in that area of your life, and then immediately understand why you were stuck, why it was really hard for you to achieve certain things, or in that area of life. And then you'll see your habitual patterns, and that's when it's easier to change something, when you are aware. But if you're not aware, then how are you going to change, you know? So that, for me personally, my Saturn, I have an opposition with Saturn. It's a very difficult placement for people to have, because Saturn is a butt kicker. So it's in my 6th house, and it's in Pisces. Actually, we just Saturn returned to Pisces. Last time it was in Pisces, it was, you know, in 1995, I believe. And it's, you know, finishing up its 30-year cycle, and it entered Pisces. So right now I'm just feeling like more like dreamy, more relaxed, you know, because I have Saturn in Pisces. So if you guys have Saturn in Pisces, if you were born from 1993 to 95, then you're more likely to have Saturn in Pisces. And this period, the next 2 to 3 years, I think 3 years, you're going to truly feel that, because it's affecting you personally, because you had this placement when you were born, and now it's returning again. So you're probably 30 years old at this point. So I have Saturn in Pisces. It's in my 6th house, and the way it affected me, well, I've been having a lot of problems with my routine. You know, I'm such a perfectionist because I have Venus in Virgo, such a perfectionist, and, you know, nothing is enough for me. Like, nothing is good enough. my work, I criticize myself, I judge myself constantly, and I have to stop constantly because of that Virgo energy and the Saturn energy. And then when I don't do my, and I've been having problems with my routine. You know, I would wake up and then, as if, you know, universe is pushing me to like become somebody else, people start to call me in the morning, which makes me, you know, very unfocused, and I cannot concentrate on what I actually need to be doing. So I expend my energy on everybody because they're bored and they're calling me. Like it was the case, and it's still the case. So I'm trying to not do this, but it's not that easy, right? So that's my personal Saturn. And I've struggled with workplaces, wherever I worked, meaning like I've always, you know, self-conscious. That's the, you know, good way of putting it, because self-conscious is exactly what Saturn makes you feel in that, you know, area of your life where it's placed. So I would always be so self-conscious at work, the way I present myself, the way I work. Did I work good enough? Did I do good enough? And I would actually overwork myself and then be so exhausted, whereas other employees were just not working at all and getting the same pay rate. And so I was like pushing myself to the limit because of that Saturn butt kicker at work. And I never felt comfortable at any job I worked at. So right now I don't work. So, and then another thing, the sixth house is my health. So I, you know, because of stress, and I wasn't taking the discipline, I wasn't disciplined, you know, when it came to my sleeping patterns, when it came to my eating, or when it came to drinking or something, you know, I would, you know, overindulge, and my health would feel bad, especially from stress, because I would like stress out, not sleep, and study, because, you know, I went to school for 7 years, did masters, and my body hurts now because of that. You know, I got health problems in my back because of studying and being at my desk, like literally for hours, and stressing out and clenching my jaw and all of that stuff, TMJ problems. So I've developed the psychosomatic disorder because of that Saturn in the sixth house. Sixth house is the house of health too. So just look at where your Saturn is placed, and you'll easily find out your old problems and obstacles in life, and you'll quickly find out the solution. Because if you're not aware what that Saturn does in a certain area of your life, it's hard for you to change, because you'll be so unhappy. I was so unhappy, and even right now, like, instead of doing things repeatedly the same way as you've been doing them for years or months, you've got to challenge yourself with Saturn energy. Saturn energy makes you like more inert, you know, and not change, you know, the opposite of cardinal signs. It's actually like Saturn reminds me of more fixed nature, like being stuck on things and not being able to see the other side. And especially if you have challenging aspects with Saturn, oh my goodness, you guys, it's gonna create a lot of conflict within yourself. So I personally, you know, hate this energy, but I also like it at the same time. Sometimes I just want to take a break, but that Saturn constantly, even when I'm in bed, you know, I'm thinking about what I should be doing, but I consciously decided to rest, but then I still cannot help but think about what I should be doing rather than laying down, you know. So that can be also Saturn energy, because it's a butt kicker. It's actually, we kick our own butt. And it just, the Saturn is the energy that is being transferred from, you know, the sky, and it manifests in those thoughts. Oh my gosh, like you should be doing this, that, and the other, instead of just sitting, or, you know, being so hard on yourself. And it can also show let's talk about the first house. I did want to mention the first house too. So if you have Capricorn on the cusp of the first house, or Saturn inside the first house, then you are more likely to be cold and detached from reality and from people. You see the reality objectively, however, you are not very bubbly or like smiley person. You're more so like very cold, detached. You're like kind of like doing your own thing, knowing what you want, being critical about what you want, and not changing your stance, not compromising your needs, not settling for less than what you deserve, not sometimes being too critical and appearing too standoffish with that energy. But on the inside, you might feel insecure and shy, but that's not how other people perceive you, though. Other people see you as mean, and cold, and yeah, just like not caring about others at all. So that's that energy. But what else? In terms of the appearance wise, the Capricorn energy, people usually are in the first house are very skinny. They have like very emphasized, prominent bone structure in their face. They're actually super skinny, like can be like super, like this, and like they look strict. It's like a big boss. And then Capricorn in the first house, Saturn in the first, can give a very, very difficult childhood to that person, where his self-expression was suppressed by narcissistic parents, similar to Aries, where that energy of overconfidence was dimmed, and self-expression, creativity was not welcomed in the family or in the society where that child grew up. And as a result, he changed his behavior and became insecure. The opposite of Capricorn is Cancer. So mind you guys, like when you have, especially the first house Capricorn or Saturn people, if you are not like Capricorn, that would mean that in your childhood, your parents suppressed the expression of that Capricorn energy, and now as a defense mechanism, as well as a survival mechanism, you became embodied the traits of your opposite sign and became the opposite of what you were supposed to be. Why? Because your self-expression and creativity was not welcome. Okay, but you as a child, you don't know how to deal with that, right? You know internally on a subconscious level as a child that you depend on your parents for survival. So however they react to you, whatever their behavior is, is sending you messages as a child when you're a kid that, oh, this behavior is not proper in this household. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing something else, which you don't even want to do as a child. It's very unnatural, but you can't help it but do it and embody the opposite signs, traits, so that you survive in that environment. Because clearly, for instance, your Capricorn energy, Capricorn rising, you're probably like were bossy since childhood, and that was not welcome. But that's really good energy. Parents just should work with it better, not suppress it completely. But some parents actually they're not ready to be parents, and they don't know how to raise children, some of them, and they just pass on their own traumas that they haven't dealt with, and then they suppress the creativity of a child. And you as a Capricorn rising might have embodied the Cancer's energy, insecurity, feeling other people's vibration, which is so unnatural for Capricorns. But there are Capricorns I know, rising people, and actually Sun too, who embody the opposite, which is Cancer. They're actually more aware of their reputation, and they always want other people to like them. Which is not the case for Capricorn. So when you start feeling as a Capricorn, this way, like a Cancer, then there's something to look at, something to understand the mechanism which is taking place, because this is not natural for you guys. This is not natural. We're talking about the bad aspects, of Saturn. Saturn is not bad if you can work with it. if you can, but how a lot of people can't work with it. Like I've struggled. That's why that Saturn made me do the shadow work in order to understand what the heck is going on, because otherwise I was not, understanding myself. So the area which you struggle with the most can actually make you very successful too. So if you just take a different approach to that and you start, let's say, taking challenges a different way, changing your approach, not being stuck in your habitual patterns, then Saturn will give you a lot of benefits and you'll see the fruits of your labor. And this is what actually can make you famous and successful, from which you can start making money and start teaching other people. So because Capricorn naturally belongs to the 10th house, right? The midheaven, which is our like highest point in career and reputation. So we have 3 money houses, which is 2nd, 6th, and the 10th. 10th is the highest. The 2nd house refers to your money, the resources you got, the skills you got, which are monetizable, and also the psychological resources that you have, like the beliefs that help you live a life you want to live, the perception and just like psychology, your talents, the resources on a psychological level, the psychological foundation you have. So that's the 2nd house. The 6th house, also money house, but it's related to employer, it's related working for other people. The 10th house is your reputation. What are you known for? Okay, so the 10th house naturally belongs to Saturn and Capricorn. That's why we see Saturn and Capricorn as a big boss, because 10th house is a big boss, the bossy energy. It's creating something and being famous for that, and being actually strict with your employees. It's that energy, seriousness in your business, in your career, taking a bull by the horn. This is what I want and this is what I'm gonna have. Not changing your stance, ruling other people, setting up restrictions for other people so that you achieve your goals. Saturn is a good energy if you can work with it. But if you can't handle like even your routines, which relates to Saturn, then how are you going to achieve bigger things on a larger scale? If you can't handle your own life, or you say, like, for instance, I want to become a millionaire. So again, you got to work with Saturn. If you can't handle your own finances, the current finances that you have, then how are you going to handle $1 million? So yeah, something to think about. Well, I hope you like this video. Please drop the comments below if it resonated. If it did not, let me know how it's playing out in your life. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my next video.